Well, good. All right, I'd like to open the meeting on the 12th of February at 9 a.m. and welcome everybody. And can I welcome all the U3A in the gallery? Nice to see you all. We'll be on our best behaviour today, won't we? Okay, let's go. Can someone confirm the minutes of the meeting, ordinary meeting on the 29th of January 2025? Councillor Burkett.
Yeah, just before I do, I just wanted a clarification on last week. There was a bit of confusion on a thing and I found the correct dates that was in open. Just with the advisory groups last week, Councillor Chambers, back in December 2009, Councillor Chambers and Councillor Stanford moved and seconded to retire the following advisory: Coal Seam Gas, My Maranoa Focus, Regional Roads Advisory and Wild Dogs. So I stumbled across that the other day when I was cleaning up, so just because it was in open, I just thought I'd clarify that because there was a bit of confusion.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to move that the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on the 29th of January 2025 be confirmed.
Have seconded Councillor Brumpton. All those in favour? 9-0. 10.1. Parliamentary inquiry into volunteering in Queensland. Do I have a mover? Councillor Vincent.
I'd like to move that Council approve the preparation of a regional submission to the Queensland Parliamentary inquiry into volunteering, with existing staff facilitating engagement with volunteer organisations across the Maranoa. 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or Delegate to finalise and lodge the submission before the 28th of February 2025 deadline. And can I just move that one to 3, Kel, sorry? And for 2, circulate submission to councillors prior to lodgement. And then 3, authorise the Chief Executive Officer.
Councillor Hancock, are you seconding it or asking a question? Second, Councillor Hancock. Anybody have any questions? I have a question. Are you in here for this, Georgie? Is that what you're here for? Can I just ask exactly how you're going to do it?
LGAQ, Mayor, local development officers will try go to as many community meetings as we can, just to gather some feedback. We'll do a call around to our community groups in each of our towns, and an email out just with a deadline to gauge as much feedback as we can before we've got to submit it.
Before the 28th, yeah, okay.
I think we did a similar thing during that COVID motion, Better Business there too. We had did a similar thing. It was a bit of a
Pretty
combination.
short deadline, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Councillor Vincent, would you like to speak?
Yes, I would like to thank you to Director Cam for bringing this to Council. Volunteers practically run our community, so I think it's very important that we put their thoughts through to the state government so they can organise their plans around things that affect our volunteers. So I think it's very important that we get our words out there.
Anybody else like to speak? Councillor Hancock?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. I'd actually like to thank Minister Anlay for bringing this out to actually be able to do an inquiry into the volunteering. I agree, Councillor Vincent, volunteers are the backbone of all our communities, and Maranoa is no different. And we have seen over many years the declining of volunteers, and it is a real issue, and it is affecting our communities now. It will continue to affect our communities. So I just really hope that there will be some great responses and some great ideas out there that will come out of this, that will help, that will flow back down to our community to assist us in assist our volunteers and to entice volunteers into the future. I'm really looking forward to the outcome of this for the Maranoa.
Anyone else like to speak? Councillor?
I'd just like to endorse what my fellow councillors said. I think the best thing about it is getting the raw, honest opinion from right down where it belongs, in the grassroots level, and not all the sugar-coated stuff. So I think they'll get really good feedback, honest feedback.
Yeah, let's hope they do. Anybody else like to speak? Councillor O'Neill.
I'll speak more of a question too. Will there be, in those conversations with the community groups, or will there be encouragement if they so wish to put their own submission in as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the more voices that we can share from the Maranoa is better. So yeah, we'll certainly let them know that they also too can put submissions in from their own community group as well, but we will include their information as well.
Yes, through the Mayor, good question, and it's outlined in the report that that's absolutely the intent, is not to try and intercept or stop individual groups doing it, but we all know the whole reason for this is volunteers already have enough trouble with time and the commitments around that. So I suppose that the background to the report was genuinely concerned that we've got a great opportunity and a vehicle here through the inquiry, but again, the whole reason we are struggling with volunteers is time. So that's one thing that council can help provide, is provide some resources to do that. So absolutely just still encourage them individual ones, but more look at a regional response, because something is better than potentially nothing, and we just didn't want to miss the opportunity to put something into the inquiry on behalf of the residents. So.
Thank you, Cam.
So I'm happy to speak. I'm very supportive of this. The Mayor and Rob and Cam and I were in Brisbane when this inquiry was launched by the Minister and the Governor of Parliament House, and it was evident in that room, as is when you pull together our groups in our region, that we've got a real problem, and that is we don't have enough of the younger generation coming through to take on the volunteer roles, and we need to look at ways to, us locally, but also help the state in this space to encourage, that next generation to step up and do what we see many in our community doing today. And so any weight that we can put behind this, I think, is a good thing. I think it's important that we're getting behind our local members' initiative in her role as a minister as well. And if they don't get submissions telling them, as Councillor Burkett said, what the grassroots are saying, then nothing will change. So I'm very supportive of us working with the community groups, and appreciate the comments that whilst we're doing this on behalf of the volunteer groups in our region, we will be encouraging them to put in their own submissions under their own banner as well, and I think that will add strength to our position in the Maranoa region.
Would anyone else like to speak? Would you like to sum up, Councillor?
No, I think it's all been said. Talking to Minister Lay last week, she's very keen to get solutions, not just problems. So she was very keen to make sure when we do put our submission in that we do have, as best we can, find some solutions for our problems as well. And I look forward to all the councillors supporting this motion today.
Well, good. Okay. On that note, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. 10.2, Establishment of Strategic Steering Committee, the Denise Spencer Aquatic Centre Project. Councillor Hancock.
I'd like to move that Council 1 establish a Strategic Steering Committee, SSC, for the, I'm just going to change that name, for the Denise Spencer Aquatic Centre Project, to provide high-level oversight, financial accountability and strategic guidance throughout the project life cycle. 2, appoint Councillor O'Neill and Councillor Flynn to form part of the Strategic Steering Committee. 3, acknowledge the advisory role of the Strategic Steering Committee, ensuring it provides guidance on key project matters while operational decision-making remains within the project team.
Have a seconder? Councillor Davis. Would you like to speak, Councillor?
Thank you, Mayor. This is such a big project for our community, so it only makes sense that we have a strategic steering committee that makes sure that all the I's are crossed, all the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed. I think that it is essential that our 2 councillors that are holding the portfolio chairs are sitting at that steering committee from a strategic level, and that the operational level is also there, so that together they will be able to make sure that this amazing project for our region is the best that it possibly can be. I think that these 2 councillors are the right people for the job. They already hold the portfolio, and I can't wait to see the reports that come out of the steering committee's meetings.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Councillor Brompton.
Yes, thanks, Councillor Hancock, for putting the information forward. And yes, I do believe that this is an indication of where our portfolios can make a huge difference to what the business of council is as well. And we have 2 portfolio chairs that fit into this realm very well. But also, regardless of that, council needs to be involved in this, and it is a huge project which will have to have a lot of decisions being made and a lot of information along the way. And it's important there's a good steering committee. We've heard from the the officers about the amount of work that they've been doing in the background, the research that's happened, the consultation that they've been doing, but it's really getting to the pointy end now, and this next stage is going to have, you know, a lot of direction need to be given and a lot of input, so looking forward to seeing it progress on behalf of council.
Anyone else like to speak? Would you like to sum up, councillor?
No, thank you.
We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. 10.3, Local Government Remuneration Commission schedule commencing the 1st of July 2025. Do I have a mover? Councillor Davis.
I move that Council 1 receive and note the findings of the Local Government Remuneration Commission's review, 2, implement the remuneration recommendations for the Mayor, Deputy Mayor and Councillors as issued by the Local Government Remuneration Commission in its report issued 4th of December 2024.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Seawright, would you like to speak, councillor? As best you can.
Thank you. I support the proposed increase in remuneration for our councillors. This is not just about fair pay. It is about valuing the work that they do, ensuring we attract capable individuals to public service, and ultimately improving the governance of our communities. I understand that with any discussion about increasing elected officials' remuneration can be met with scepticism. People may ask, why should our councillors be paid more when resources are limited? This is a fair question and one that deserves an honest response. So the role of the councillor is not part-time, set hours or ceremonial duty. It is a demanding job that requires time, dedication and expertise. Councillors are responsible for making critical decisions about our local economy, infrastructure, public services and community well-being. They respond to residents concerned, attend councillors' meetings outside of work hours and work tirelessly to improve our quality of life. Yet in many cases, the remuneration does not reflect the responsibilities they carry. Many talented individuals may be discouraged from serving because they simply cannot afford to do so. And if we want to attract the best and brightest to local government, people from diverse backgrounds, working professional, young leaders, we must ensure that serving as a councillor is financially viable. Investing in fair remuneration for councillors is an investment in good governance. When we compensate councillors appropriately, we encourage accountability, professionalism, and a higher standard of leadership. We reduce the risk of financial conflicts of interest and ensure that our representatives can fully dedicate themselves to the roles. Other sectors recognise the importance of fair pay. We recognise high performance from professionals in education, healthcare and law enforcement, and we pay them accordingly. So why should local government be any different when the decisions made by councillors impact our daily lives? So that is why I'll be supporting the council remuneration. It is not about personal gain. It is about strengthening democracy. It is about ensuring that financial barriers do not prevent capable, passionate individuals from serving our communities. It's about fairness, professionalism and long-term success of our community. So let us not undervalue the people who work hard to represent us. Let us support the increase and build a stronger, more effective council for the benefit of all the Maranoa.
Thank you. Anyone like to speak against?
I've spoken against this before. I do appreciate and I do agree with a lot of Councillor Davies' points there. They're very on the money, and you could add in stress too, I suppose, definitely for that. But what sticks with me, there's a lot of people still doing it tough in the Maranoa and in the broader area, whether it's with rates or cost of living and interest rates and stuff like that. So although you nearly had me swayed, I think I'll still stick with, I think there's people in the community that are doing worse off than myself, and that I do agree a lot with Councillor Davis, but I won't be supporting this today.
I'd like to speak for, if that's okay. Not that there's much left to say because you did a very good job there. But this is an issue that comes to us year after year, and every year without fail, I have voted in favour of the remuneration. However, it's important to realise that the decisions on the amount of the remuneration is not ours to make. That responsibility lies with the independent tribunal. For us, it's just a simple matter of yes or no. Now, if we choose not to take up the remuneration, as we saw during the previous term, where the decision was made to forego it for 4 years, we create a significant gap. And as that result, when we came into office, we were met with criticism from some of the community. There were voices questioning the decision, and I understand where they were coming from. But let us not but let us also acknowledge that there are members of our community who may wish to nominate themselves for council, yet are faced with the financial realities of that position. Wanting to give back to serve our community is an admirable motivation, but it's not always enough. The financial demands of the role can be a significant deterrent. We need to also be mindful of this, because if we want to see a diverse group of people willing to serve, we must also consider how the remuneration can support that goal. It's not just about the money, it's about ensuring that the doors to the public service remain open for those who want to contribute but might otherwise find the financial burden a barrier. So as we vote today, let us remember that the decision before us is not just about the numbers, it's about the broader impact on our community and the people we want to encourage to take part in the important work of this council. Anyone else like to speak against? For? Councillor Brumpton.
Thanks, Mayor. I won't speak for the passion that both Councillor Davis and Mayor Taylor have said, because they've given a whole lot of reasons why it's a good idea to continue this process of accepting the remuneration. I'll talk about the mechanics of increases. We're all subject to CPI increases in what we actually have to buy. Our staff get enterprise bargaining rises, as do most other places, and also national wage case increases. This amount is not for us to decide, as Mayor Taylor and Councillor Davis said. It's actually an independent commission determines how much we should be paid. I think it's probably a silly process that we are asked to accept that. If a national wage case occurs, and that's for the people that are doing it tough, that might not be earning a lot of money, they don't go and vote and say, well, I'm not going to take that money because, I know my employer is doing it tough as well. It's not a process that's applied anywhere else. People accept the pay rise that they're given by an independent commission. And I think those that want to have a go at us, if they're running a business, have they actually put up their prices with CPI? I'm sure they'd be going broke if they hadn't actually increased their prices. Do they pay their staff as per the national wage increases or the EBA? I'm sure they do, because they have to, but that's the law. So as well as the really good reasons given for why, if you want to attract good councillors into these roles in the hours that we do and a lot of after hours work, is the whole mechanics of the process. It really should be not put on us, I believe, to actually have to sit here in the chamber and give our reasons why we're accepting something that an independent tribunal has given us. So I think it's just something we should accept and move forward.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Councillor O'Neill.
Thanks very much, Mayor. I'll speak in favour of the resolution, and to the similar comments that have been shared, I won't do it as good a justice as what Councillor Davis did, but I think it's important to put this in complete context. The decision around the remuneration for local government did used to sit on the shoulders of local government councillors, and we're going back a long time now, and to take the politics out of it, there was a lot of work done by the Local Government Association of Queensland to advocate to the state government to introduce an independent remuneration tribunal for these matters, just as there are for elected representatives at the state level, just as there are for elected representatives at the national level. What the independent tribunal does now, chaired by former Mayor of Noosa Shire, Bob Abbott, and his other commissioners, is they look at all the things that have just been talked about today, the complexities of the role, the time that's given to the role, the area that we are, the constituency that we've got, the makeup of the industry sectors, business sectors, the agricultural sector. All of that is put as a consideration of where we sit in terms of the categories. And there was a major overhaul in the report of 2023, which turned up what we'd all been considered in the past few terms for me, and we ended up in a new category called B2. And they've compared us with councils like Cassowary Coast, Charters Towers, Gympie, Livingston, Mareeba, Mount Isa, Scenic Rim, Somerset, South Burnett, Southern Downs and Tablelands. And they look at all of those councils and all the things underneath them, just as they do for us, and they put a consideration together and a recommendation as part of their review. The reality is this matter does not have to come before council. Our mayor has chosen to bring this before council so it's open and transparent. We could do nothing, right? And come the 1st of July, it would just happen. The recommendation would be enacted. What the Act says, which is contrary to what is before us today, is that a councillor needs to move a resolution to not accept it. That is the resolution that should be considered. But that's not what is before us. It's about simply receiving and noting the recommendation of the independent tribunal's recommendations for council. And whilst the move was to take the politics out of it, it still exists. And I think what we should be considering, and I know other local councils are considering putting something forward to our annual conference, is to advocate to the state government to finally take this out of the hands of a chamber, a local government chamber. That if the Independent Remuneration Tribunal determines that local governments in our category for B2 has an increase of 2.5% against CPI, then it should be accepted. If they recommend that it remains the same, it's accepted. If they determine that based on their assessment it should be reduced, then it's accepted. Take it to the full degree that it was intended to be, which was an independent remuneration tribunal, because it creates a firestorm in communities when elected representatives are talking about their remuneration. You name any other role where you set your own rem. You don't. You know, we have control in this chamber of one position. That's the CEO. We set the CEO's rem. The rest of the organisation, through all the mechanisms of EBs and whatever, agreements, it's done by the CEO. So I think in the long term, we need to be advocating to our local member, who happens to be the Minister for Local Government, that finally the new Crisafulli government need to take this and ensure that it is solely at the discretion and the role of the independent tribunal to set the local government remuneration across the state. We won't have these discussions because it'll be their remit, and what they say is enacted.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Would you like to sum up, Councillor Davis?
Thank you for every councillor's comments. I think just in ending, that this resolution and the lines we play by at the moment, coming to council and it being fair, open, transparent, within these guidelines we work to, this resolution supports what we are put at this table to do, is look at the strategic, long-term position of council. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to the vote. All those in favour? Against? 8-1. 10.4, consideration of elected members' attendance to the 2025 LGAQ Civic Leaders Summit. Do I have a mover? Councillor.
Was there anyone that had a epiphany overnight? I don't think there was.
Nobody.
I'll move we receive and note the report as presented.
Have a seconder? Councillor Vincent. No need to talk? No. All those in favour? 9-0. (11.1) Audit Committee meeting minutes from the 21st of January 2025. Councillor Brumpton.
I recommend that Council 1 endorse the Audit Committee's request in their resolution number ACCCC/01.2025/02 that officers undertake a gap analysis and present a plan to the Audit Committee. 2, receive and note the unconfirmed minutes of the Audit Committee meeting held on the 21st of January 2025.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor O'Neill.
I'll second just with a amendment if I can. I just wonder, would the mover consider point 3, which was, and for future meetings, a full report be provided to the council?
A full report on discussions at the audit committee?
Provided to the next ordinary, to a preceding ordinary meeting of council.
Yeah.
For future audit meetings, audit committee meetings, a full report on discussions
No.
with the audit committee be provided.
No.
No, that doesn't work now.
For future council meetings, a full report on discussions at the audit committee be provided. Sorry.
It is something about tabled with the minute, sorry, through
Yeah.
you, Madam Mayor. It's also
Yeah.
but something about when a full report be tabled with the minutes
Yes.
at a council meeting.
You're just looking for more detail.
Yes.
Yeah.
Future meetings,
For future council meetings, a full report be tabled with the minutes on discussions held at the audit committee.
Happy with that?
Just
that
Take the be provided at the back. I don't think you.
That council for future council meetings.
future council meetings, that council.
What about that
Sorry,
council-
That council
Receive.
receive
Yeah,
a full report.
yeah.
Council receive a full report
Along with
to
the,
be tabled with the minutes
yeah.
on discussions and recommendations at the audit committee.
We'll get there.
We got that, yep.
Yeah, you're happy with that, councillor? And you seconded it, councillor O'Neill?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you like to speak to it, councillor?
Yes, and apologies about the trying to sort this out. We are working through how we can best fully inform the council on the deliberations of the Risk and Audit Committee meeting, and we realised looking at the minutes even that, which is why I've added that, endorsed the request. The Audit Committee itself doesn't have any delegation to decide about having something that officers can undertake a gap analysis. That actually has to come to council to support that. The Audit Committee can't ask officers to do anything. That's why we pulled that bit out of those minutes. And in future, the Audit Committee is going to be working very well. We've heard before about with our new members, some external members, a lot more rigour around the process, and certainly in terms of education for the other councils, and so they're informed about what's happening in detail on our audit and risk. We would like to see more information come through to council so they can understand what's being discussed at the meeting and why some of the recommendations come out of that meeting.
Anyone like to speak against? And I'll just speak for it as well, being on the audit committee, not saying that I fully understand half of it yet, but I'm working towards, as they say in the report card. And we did note also that we're also going to put it in your calendars, so if anybody wants to drop in and have an hour or two with us or whatever that looks like. We did actually have our 2 external auditors come face to face this time at the last meeting. Very smart people. And really, we got a lot out of that one. Oh, Meryl wasn't there, sorry. Councillor Brumpton wasn't there, she was sick, but really did get a lot of value out of it. And it is a work in progress, and I honestly feel, we're making headway every time we meet. So more than happy to support the minutes. Anybody else like to speak? Would you like to sum up? No, okay. Sorry. Councillor O'Neill, sorry. Yeah, I didn't see you.
I'm going to support this. The next step, I think, will be a really important one for it to be tabled, a full report to be tabled. I've spoken to all the councillors that attended, and I've spoken to some of the independent directors too, and agreed that it was a very good meeting. I think we are incredibly lucky to have the expanded audit committee now, including the independents there that bring a wealth of knowledge and skills to the table. I acknowledge that the audit committee doesn't have any delegation. I think that's something we should look at into the future, and as one decision maker here, I'd be happy to see the audit committee come back with a recommendation as to what delegations may help them to undertake that business of council, and to ensure that there isn't any roadblocks to getting things done quickly because it has to come back through a council meeting. So I think that would be a benefit to have a discussion at your next audit committee. But I think this is a step in the right direction, and I think we'll get great value out of having those independent directors sitting around the table, and you can already see that coming through in the minutes.
Okay, anyone else like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. 13.1, Wall of Fame inductee for consideration. Do I have a mover?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to move that council include Amy Lorenz on the Wall of Fame for her contribution to rugby, representing Australia under a recognised national sporting organisation, and that the funds for framing and engraving be allocated from GL 2883 2002 2001 Roma LDO Materials and Services.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Burkett?
You'll second that, yeah.
Would you like to speak, councillor?
I would like to congratulate Amy on her achievements so far. I'm sure there will be many more achievements to come for her in the sport of rugby union, and we recognised Amy at the recent Australia Day Awards with a Sportsman's Award, and of course Amy has recently been in New Zealand for the Global Youth Sevens tournament, and quite proud to be nominating or supporting the induction to a new athlete into a Hall of Fame. And I suppose it would be remiss of me not to mention to anybody in the gallery that they have a look in the PCYC, because it's probably some time since we've had a new inductee, and that go back through the years and see who the people on that Wall of Fame are, and that if there are any new inductees that would be recognised as per our guidelines, that they come forward with nominations.
I'm glad you mentioned the PCYC, because when we were spreading bread the other day and making our sandwiches, I didn't realise how many there were since the last time I went, and I had a community member mention to me, I think they might be in the gallery somewhere there, that maybe we should put them out down at the big rig for a certain amount of time, so that not everybody sees them at the PCYC. So we might be able to take half a dozen at a time and sit them down there for a couple of months. I don't know, but it's just a thought we might have somewhere along the line. Councillor O'Neill.
I've just got an amendment that one of the mover would consider, just to point 3 in light of the comments just made, that council, 3, undertake a campaign reminding the community about what the process is to nominate a potential Wall of Fame inductee.
Happy to add that, Jess.
Happy for that?
Yep.
I'm happy as a seconder.
Happy as the seconder? Okay. Councillor Burkett.
Yeah, Councillor O'Neill, I'm glad you added that in. I had promote and encourage, because there's probably a lot of community members that have got relatives that we might know that might have made a national side. But it is a wonderful array of athletes that are over there in the... I know that outlying towns sometimes have that rivalry with Roma, but you've got to respect that they've produced a lot of good people in the sporting field. So no, fully support this, and I'd also like to congratulate Amy and her family. They're a very sporty family, and it takes a good family unit to get these kids around. As Pete alluded to yesterday, or Councillor Flynn alluded to yesterday, there's a lot of kilometres to be undertaking. So yeah, hopefully these kids remember that down the track when they thank their parents when they do make these sides. So fully supportive.
Thank you. Councillor Hancock.
Just wondering if the member would also consider putting in point 4, just with what you said, Madam Mayor, about investigating opportunities to be able to move
Showcase
them,
it around the
showcase
region.
them.
Yeah.
Because it's not only at the big rig, it could be at our library. And so all I would be suggesting is to investigate opportunities to showcase Wall of Fame inductees.
Maybe a copy.
Across the region, Councillor Flynn? Is there any outside of Roma? It doesn't have to go outside of Roma, but maybe just even around Roma.
There are people from the region who are on that
Okay.
and
it's just-
on that board. The only thing I would warn against is that shifting some of those photos could be quite damaging.
I think if you're going to do it, make copies.
Could we go investigate opportunities to
Oh,
showcase
dear.
Wall of Fame inductees across the region and a report be brought back to council so that we can make that decision?
See if it's viable.
See if it's viable even.
Yeah.
Yeah, through you. Mayor. I think there's some. I know we've got some in our sporting complex, so that there's some places might already have them. But you're right, a lot of places you don't see them.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah.
So
Just got to check the mover and seconder.
Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Yeah,
Are you happy with point 4, Councillor Lynn?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Councillor Burkett? Okay. Anybody else like to speak? Councillor Brumpton?
I'd like to congratulate Amy on this. I know in all this discussion we've had, we might have lost the point of the big congratulations for Amy. Well done. It is a great achievement. And Siri's decided that she wants to talk to me because of I've just said. But yes, and well done to the family too, as discussed, that all the work that goes into produce an athlete involves, it takes a village to raise a child, as we know, and I'm sure there's been family and friends involved as well. But certainly support all the other discussions that have occurred as well, and it is important that this gets out and about because a lot of people don't spend time at the PCYC, so it would be nice to see that people are recognised across the community.
Anyone else like to speak? Councillor O'Neill?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I echo the comments made by Councillor Brumpton in congratulating Amy and, of course, her family. We saw how proud her mum and dad were at Australia Day, with Amy taking out one of the Australia Day awards for the Roma celebration this year, and I think this is a further feather in her cap, and I wish her all the success. I think we're going to see some great things from Amy Lorenz into the future, and she is a deserving inductee to Wall of Fame, and congratulations again.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0.
Councillor, that's 3 female wallabies we've got on the wall there now too. So that's pretty big. That's the third one. Lowell Cherry's granddaughter and Reggie Osborne's as well. So that's number 3.
Thanks, Dean. I'm sorry I didn't see you there. 14.1, Biosecurity Advisory Committee Terms of Reference. Do I have a mover? Councillor Seawright.
I move, I just want to ask a couple of questions, and Annie comes in.
Oh, yeah. Morning, ladies.
Annie and Annie.
Councillor Seawright has a question. When are you ready, Annie?
Just through the report, we've got the date of 7th of March for the meeting, and just ensuring that can possibly be moved. Just for the accepting of or deciding of the committee selection process. I just want to make sure it can be moved. I've got some community duties that day and possibly can't be available for like another week after.
Yeah, through the chair, happy to work around your availability,
That's cool.
Councillor Seawright.
I didn't want to slow down the process. I just wanted to make sure I didn't slow down the process and that's all.
Not a problem.
Well, we'd come to an alternate arrangement, Councillor Burkett. We'll be starting at 5 o'clock in the morning that morning. I'd like to move that Council endorse the proposed terms of reference for the Maranoa Regional Council Biosecurity Advisory Committee, as detailed in the attachment, 2, approve the expression of interest EOI process for recruiting members to the committee, including the criteria for membership as detailed in the attachments. 3, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to commence the EOI process and advertise for suitable candidates, ensuring representation across the Maranoa region, including industry representatives and landholders, community members. 4, note that a further report will be presented to Council upon completion of the EOI process, outlining the list of recommended appointments for the committee. 5, nominate the Rural Lands Department Administration Officer to provide administrative support to the Biosecurity Advisory Committee, including minute-taking responsibilities.
I have a seconder. Councillor Vincent, would you like to speak?
Just briefly, I'd like to thank the work from the team, the Rural Lands team, and the director for putting in for putting this work into establishing the terms of reference, and also Councillor Vincent. Obviously, we had a meeting to as an interim committee just to get that ball rolling, and I'm just really looking forward to finally getting this on the page and happening, and some collaboration between all our our the volunteers who want to come forward and industry representatives. It's going to be a great thing for our community just to raise some of these and come out with some advice and recommendations towards the council moving forward from here.
Thank you. Councillor Vincent, did you want to speak?
We thank you to the team for the meeting that we had early on to get the terms of reference sorted. Looking forward to hearing back from industry for the interest from them, and then going out to the landholders to try and get a broad coverage from the region. So I'm looking forward to seeing where we go to from here.
Anyone else like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
14.2 Wallumbilla Showgrounds User Group Agreement Renewal. Councillor Seawright.
I wish to declare a conflict of interest for item 14.2, description Wallumbilla Showgrounds User Group Agreements Renewal. The declaring councillor is myself, Councillor Seawright. The persons of interest is myself and my wife, Kristen Seawright. And the particulars of interest, I am the president and my wife is the secretary of the Wallumbilla Agricultural and Pastoral Association, which is part of one of the user group agreements for the Wallumbilla Showgrounds. It is a prescribed conflict of interest, and I will leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on.
Thank you. Councillor Davis.
Can I go now? Oh, wait.
Thank you. I'd like to declare an interest in item number 14.2. The description is Wallumbilla Showgrounds User Group Agreements Renewal. The declaring councillor is Amber Davis. The person with the interest is myself and my husband Wayne Davis. The particulars are we own and operate Bessie's Ice Cream Bus, and in the past have attended events hosted by the Wallumbilla Show Society. There is a possibility that we would attend events here in the future as well. It's a declarable conflict of interest. Although I have a declarable conflict of interest, I do not believe a reasonable person could have the perception of bias. Therefore, I will choose to remain in the meeting. However, I will respect the decision of the meeting on whether I can remain and participate in the decision.
Councillor O'Neill.
I move that it is in the public interest that Councillor Davis participates and votes on agenda item 14.2 because a reasonable person would trust that the decision is made in the public interest.
Have a seconder. Councillor Vincent. All those in favour? 7-0. That's right. Yes, 7-0. Thank you. Councillor Seawright will be leaving the room. Do I have a mover?
Yeah, I'm happy to move.
Councillor O'Neill.
I'd like to move that Council 1 enter into non-exclusive user agreements with the Wallumbilla Showgrounds user groups, Wallumbilla Show Society, Bendemeer Pony Club, Wallumbilla Camp Draft Association Incorporated, Wallumbilla Community Men's Shed Incorporated, and the Wallumbilla Cricket Club for a period of 5 years for the use of the Wallumbilla Showgrounds. 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to execute the agreement with each user.
Seconder. Councillor O'Neill. Would you like a question, Councillor Hancock?
Yeah, sorry. Through the Mayor, just wanted to double check, is there any changes to these user agreements?
Through the chair, there were a couple of points added to the user agreement for the Pony Club and the Camp Draft
Could you
Committee.
just can you tell us what they are, please?
I made some minor amendments to the document. in regards to once the event is finished, that all food must be removed from the cold rooms, the fridges and the freezers. We've lost a couple of freezers over a period of time through food being left in there. And also once the horse events are finished, that any straw and waste from horses, cattle and that is removed from the camping area to allow the campers to still camp there without that on the ground.
Sure. Okay, thank you. I actually seen them in here, so good. And the next question is, has that been discussed with the user groups? Is this going to be a surprise to them, or have we?
No, they're very much aware of it, and we say it after each event, Council.
And they've seen a copy of this draft user agreement that's coming to council?
Not with the updated points that.
But they know about it.
They do know.
And they're okay with that.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Council, we have, sorry, just to clarify there too, just in the past there too, Council and generally resolved to enter in the agreement there. Sometimes we have gone back to other user groups there and they've identified some things they wanted added in there. And that was as part of my remit there. If it's only minor changes there, we do have that negotiation there with the actual user groups. It's only if, you know, they want to come back with a 10-year or a 15-year that we bring it back to the table. But any of those minor discussions and negotiations we would actually have as well. So.
Thanks, CEO Rob. Just saying how simple it is set out on that page of who's responsible for what. Congratulations to staff. That is so good.
Councillor Vincent, did you have something?
Councillor Hancock asked my question.
Okay, Councillor Davis.
I just wanted to ask a question about, we just moved a motion this morning about volunteers, given that a lot of these groups are volunteers. Have we put timeframes around the expectation of, like you said, after every event? I'm just mindful that volunteers are few and far between and most have other jobs. What has been the discussion around timeframe?
Through the chair. We've asked for realistic time frames, so we have had up to 7 days, sometimes 10 days before the areas are cleaned up for the campers. So we've asked within a reasonable time frame, at least 1 to 2 days with the groups, especially the horse events.
All right.
No, I didn't get any of that, sorry, with my blocked ears, but I'm okay with that. Reasonable time frame.
Yeah, a reasonable time frame. Yep. So a lot of the volunteers, they put the events on and it's quite a large task for them. And they did voice their opinion that sometimes the next day was a bit too soon, but I said within a reasonable time frame we would be looking at, and not 2 weeks or extended out for a couple of weeks. You know, we've got to understand that there will be the general public travelling through and camping there overnight, and there could be follow-up events happening in the following week. For argument's sake, we've got 2 events happening that run back to back kind of things. So.
Anybody else got questions? Would you like to speak to it, Councillor?
Just to say thanks for all the work that's gone into this. I think all users of the showgrounds would be much appreciated of your efforts. I think like this is the lifeblood of all our small communities, these groups, and to have them all using the same facility in unison and getting along. I know I can speak firsthand. There's a big benefit, safety in numbers, and whether it's applying for funding or helping each other at different events. So I think the more we can get that together, and it's probably better for council too in that respect, and for the ratepayer because it probably saves a bit of money. But no, fully supportive of this, and once again, thanks for putting it forward.
Anybody else like to speak? We go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. I was thinking about the 1, but it's not there. 8-0. Okay, I'm just going to adjourn the meeting for morning tea and no.
Resume the meeting. Just for the people that watch our meetings, the Mayor is still absent, attending a funeral this morning, and Councillor Flynn has stepped away from the meeting as well. We've concluded the open agenda. We've now got to the point of the agenda for the closed. Is there someone willing to move that we go into committee? But with any conflicts first? Any councillors got conflicts? No, someone willing to move? Thanks, Councillor Brumpton.
In accordance with the provisions of Section 245J3 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, I move that Council resolve to close the meeting to the public at 11:13 a.m. to discuss confidential items that its councillors consider is necessary to close the meeting. In accordance with section 254J5 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the following table provides the matters to be discussed, an overview of what is to be discussed while the meeting is closed. Agenda item C1, Erindale Road interface and closure issues. C2, request for extended payment arrangements 14015549 and 14028096. C3, requests for extended payment arrangement 14031686. LC1, tender award 2024/2025 bitumen reseal program. Is that the right number? Oh yeah, so it doesn't have a tender number.
Thanks, Councillor Brumpton. Someone to second. Councillor Hancock. I'll put that. All in favour? Against? That's carried 7-0. Yep. All right, so just a conflict of interest on LC1 that's been identified. I have a conflict. Description is tender award 2024-2025 bitumen reseal program. Declaring councillor is myself, Councillor Cameron O'Neill. Person with interest is myself. Particulars of the interest: I'm a member of the Roma Rural Student Hostel Committee. Type of conflict is a declarable conflict of interest, and the action I'll take is, although I have a declarable conflict of interest, I do not believe a reasonable person could have a perception of bias. Therefore, I will choose to remain in the meeting. However, I will respect the decision of the meeting of whether I can remain and participate in the decision. Councillor Brumpton.
I move that it is in the public interest that Councillor O'Neill participates and votes on agenda item LC1 because a reasonable person would trust that the decision is made in the public interest.
Thanks, Councillor Brumpton. As a second, there is Councillor Hancock. I'll put that. All in favour? Against? That's 5-0. Any other conflicts?
Yes, sir.
Councillor Vincent.
I'd like to declare a conflict of interest in LC1, tender award 2024-2025 bitumen reseal program. The declaring councillor is myself. The person with the interest is my mother, Janice Humphreys. Particulars of the interest is my mother lives on a street which is mentioned in the report. It is declarable conflict of interest, and although I have a declarable conflict of interest, I do not believe a reasonable person could have a perception of bias. Therefore, I will choose to remain in the meeting. However, I will respect the decision of the meeting on whether I can remain and participate in the decision.
Thanks, Councillor Vincent. Is someone to move something? Councillor Hancock.
I move that it is in the public interest that Councillor Vincent participates and votes on agenda item LC1 because a reasonable person would trust that the decision is made in the public interest.
Thanks, Councillor Hancock. A seconder, Councillor Davis. I'll put that. All in favour? Against? That's 5-0. Kel, just on mine, just for completeness, did it say Roma Rural Hostel is mentioned in the report? And the mover and the seconder of that resolution are happy that, yep.
Yes.
Very good. All right, someone to move we go into closed. Councillor Hancock.
I move that we go into close for the reasons that were listed previously.
That's the last item. Close.
We didn't get to it. LC1. Someone to second. Councillor Brumpton. I'll put that. All in favour. All in favour.
Oh, I can't. Oh, yes, I can.
Yeah, we're just going.
All in favour. That's 7-0. All right, we're good to go. C1, Erindale Road, what's that? Interference and closure issues. Is there a mover? There is, Councillor Searoyd.
Oh.
Hello.
And I was only joking there.
It's okay. We'll just deal with it.
Yep. No, you can't.
We were just jesting that you were coming through the door, and you did.
So we're just on C1. I was calling for a mover. Councillor Searoyd was the mover.
When you're ready, councillor Seawright.
Thanks, Mayor. I move that council authorise the engagement of, council authorise the engagement of a surveyor to survey and peg the correct alignment bordering lot 2 on RP 864614 at an estimated cost of $6,000 excluding GST, which costs to be allocated to GL 02266.2018.2001. 2. Prepare correspondence to both landowners providing an update on the survey process and council's actions as outlined in this resolution. 3. Be presented with a subsequent report following the completion of the survey outlining the findings and providing options for addressing the identified issues.
Seconder, councillor Vincent. Would you like to speak, councillor?
Just briefly, this is just a standard practice to resolve some road alignment issues. Moving forward, it's not generally undertaken. It's only undertaken when there possibly is issues with the road alignment. So at the moment, we just deal with this case by case.
Anyone else like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. C2, request for extended payment arrangement 14015549 and 14028096. Councillor Davis.
Thank you. I move that Council 1 decline the proposed payment arrangement for assessment numbers 14028096 and 14015549, as the reasons provided do not demonstrate special circumstances as per the Council's rates and charges debt recovery policy. 2. Advise the ratepayer that if payment of the current outstanding rates and charges is not received by Council on or before the 7th of March 2025, debt recovery actions will recommence.
Seconded, councillor Brompton. Would you like to speak, councillor?
No, thank
Would
you.
anybody like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. I just have to... Wait, can I do that now? Yes.
You have to call the item first.
C3, request for extension payment arrangement 14031686. I'd like to declare a conflict. On C3, request for extended payment arrangement 14031686. The declaring councillor is myself, Councillor Wendy Taylor. The person with the interest, one of the owners of the property for assessment number 14031686. Due to the personal matters pertaining to the applicant, I have not named the individual, but I have provided this information to the CEO. Persons of interest, particulars of interest. One of the owners mentioned in the report leases a building belonging to my company, LGAQ Proprietary Limited. It's a declarable conflict of interest, and I'll leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on. Thank you, Deputy.
The Mayor's left the room. So C3, request for extended payment arrangement 14031686. Is there a mover? There is. Councillor Brompton.
I move that Council 1 approve a payment arrangement until 30th of June 2025 at the rate of $50 per fortnight for the ratepayer of assessment 14031686. 2. Advise the ratepayer that interest will continue to accrue as per Council's revenue statement, noting that the debt recovery process will remain on hold until 1st of July 2025. 3. Advise the ratepayer that they must contact Council in writing at the end of each month with an update regarding their circumstances.
Thanks, Councillor Brompton. Seconder, Councillor Davis. Does the mover wish to speak?
No.
Anyone else wish to speak? I'll put it to the room. Those in favour? Carried 7-0.
Wendy, you'll have to do
Yeah,
it.
sure. I think she's on conflict. You're aware of that?
Yeah.
That's the one that's just that road, there's a couple of councils when they've got a copy of the list, there's one there, near the hospitals.
Yeah.
Just call it first.
LC1 Tender Award 2024-2025 Bitumen Reseal Program. I'd like to declare a conflict on this one. Please, Cal. LC1 Tender Award 2024-25 Bitumen Reseal Program. The declaring councillor is myself, Wendy Taylor. The person of interest is myself. The particulars of interest, I'm a member of the Roma Rural Student Hostel Committee and is mentioned in the report. It is a declarable conflict of interest, and although I have a declarable conflict of interest, I do not believe a reasonable person could have a perception of bias. Therefore, I will choose to remain in the meeting. However, I will respect the decision of the meeting on whether I can remain and participate in the decision. Anyone? Councillor Seawright.
I move that it is in the public interest that Councillor Taylor participates and votes on agenda item LC1 because a reasonable person would trust that the decision is made in the public interest.
Seconder, Councillor Brompton. All those in favour? 6-0.
No, five. We've had others.
Who else is?
Oh, sorry. I'm a conflict.
Oh, so you, sorry.
No.
5-0. Thank you. All right. LC1 Tender Award 2024-25 Bitumen Resale Program. Do I have a mover? Councillor Burkett.
I'd like to move that Council 1 select Oztech Spray Seal Proprietary Limited as the tenderer for the 2024-2025 Bitumen Reseal Program for an estimated contract sum of $2,100,000 excluding GST. 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to enter into final negotiations with the tenderer, noting the anticipated sum value above and execute the contract if the final terms are acceptable. 3, authorise the nominated superintendent for council, the delegation to order variations up to the value of the approved project budget, noting the nature of the contract and the variability associated with the bitumen seal design process. And 4, assign expenditure to 2024-25 budget allocation for the Rural Road and Urban Street Annual Bitumen Reseal Program, work orders 25120 and 25121 respectively.
Have a seconder. Councillor Brompton, would you like to speak, Councillor?
Just to say, this is just an annual undertaking the council does to keep to prolong the life of our bitumen roads, and I think there's a fair cross section getting done. So look forward to seeing it all come to fruition.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. Is that it? Oh, Councillor Hancock.
Madam Mayor, I would like to add a motion without notice to the agenda, please. I move that a new motion without notice regarding the Don Ross's historical collection be added to the agenda.
Seconder, Councillor O'Neill. All those in favour? 8-0. So that will be LC. Is it confidential?
No, it's open.
It's open.
The Cal will come up with the number she said.
What number do you want, Cal?
L1.
Oh, L1.
And it's called Don Ross Historical Collection.
And it's called? Oh, Don Ross Historical Collection. Do I have a mover?
No, I have a conflict.
Oh, you have a conflict. Okay. How do you know that?
Because if you...
Because of the title.
No, not because of the title, but because of who I just saw was mentioned in the report. You'll see.
Yep. So would you like to declare when you're ready? When Cal's ready.
I'd like to declare conflict of interest on LC1. L1, sorry, the Don Ross collection. I'm not sure the exact report title, but...
Don Ross Historical Collection.
Don Ross Historical Collection. Sorry, Kel. Declaring councillor is myself, Councillor Seawright. The person with the interest, my wife, is the secretary of the Yulbar Development Group, and is mentioned in the report. The Yulbard,
Name her.
sorry.
You need to name her.
Oh, Kristen Seawright. My wife is Kristen Seawright is the thanks, Councillor Hancock. Is the secretary of the Yulbard Development Group, which is mentioned in the report.
I don't have a report.
Sorry,
The
mentioned in the resolution.
Sorry,
Oh.
thank you.
Okay.
Particulars, interest
Is the same, isn't it?
is the same. It is a declarable conflict of interest, and I will leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on.
Thank you. Councillor Seawright has left the room. Councillor Hancock.
I move that Council 1 seek feedback from Cobb & Coastal Museum Committee, Yulbard Development Group and any other key stakeholders regarding any interest in the Don Ross Historical Collection to be provided with a further report.
It's the stagecoach.
There's a collection.
Oh,
There's
there's a collection.
there's actually a collection.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
To go into the new,
Just drop the penny, just
And
drop.
into,
Well, it just depends on what the community feedback. So those two groups, they've been talking about it. There's feedback that needs to come to council, and so it's an avenue of getting it back. I just through you, Madam Mayor, to CEO Rob, there is a timing aspect on this. So I just want to I guess for your knowledge, there is probably a bit of a timing aspect. Do I need to add that into there, or can I just inform you that there's?
If a further report be brought back to the next general meeting held on.
Yep, that'd be great. Yep.
And have a seconder?
Be provided with further report at the next ordinary meeting, Council.
Councillor Vincent, would you like to talk to this, councillor?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Just to say that there is a historical collection from Don Ross, and I would just like to seek the community's feedback on their thoughts regarding it.
Have they seen what's on offer?
Yes.
The collection?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Righto. Anyone else like to speak? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 7-0. Is that all? Oh, I'll just get the councillor back in, sorry. If there's nothing further, I will close the meeting at 11:46 and I'll thank you all for your attendance.